Hey folks, this is Jake Davis with my 5th of 9 videos ranking every Best Picture winner of all time for you. Real quick, the Academy Awards nominations were announced this morning, and I shot a reaction video for that. It wasn't great nominees, to be honest with you. Of the 8 films nominated for Best Picture, 4 of these movies were released directly to streaming services, which means they received no theatrical commercial release. 3 more of them were released theatrically for commercially in 2021, which leaves, of the 8 movies, only 1 movie nominated for Best Picture that was released theatrically within the calendar year of 2020 in a commercial market, and that's Promising Young Woman. So, out of my traditional logic, it's a movie that was built for Best Picture. So, I'm just saying Wonder Woman 84 should win Best Picture. Even though it's not nominated for anything. Just write that fucker in. I don't care if you like it or not. Anyhow, tonight I'm going to talk about the 70s. Every movie to win Best Picture 1970s. The 70s is actually my favorite decade for cinema, to be honest with you. Oh my god. So bright. I'm so tired. I have been drinking. Oh well, so. Yes, the 70s are absolutely terrific. Wonderful, magnanimous decade for cinema. I'm going to give you one spoiler right now. Not one bad movie won Best Picture. Bad movies were nominated, sure, movies I didn't like, but no bad movies won. So let's just get into ranking them. Number 10, Kramer vs. Kramer from 1979, directed by Robert Benton, starring Dustin Hoffman, Meryl Streep, Justin Henry, Jo Beth Williams, and Jane Alexander. This film also won the Oscars for Best Director, Actor, Supporting Actress, and Adapted Screenplay. Oh, I didn't do this part. But these movies were released in between December and going for March here. Yeah, December and March, and they made as much as $287 million, which is, of course, for The Godfather. Huge. Now, you gotta remember, this is back when, theater tickets were, $1.40. I'm probably not gonna do that particular, thing for the rest of you going forward, because, Box Office Mojo only goes up to 1977, and to tell you the truth, just IMDb's box office and release date records are kind of, I don't want to say unreliable, but let's just say inconsistent. You know what I mean? Excuse me. Kramer vs. Kramer is the story of Dustin Hoffman, as the architect, whose wife leaves him and his young son. Over about a half-year period, they build a bond and learn to grow and move on from their trauma and from their pain and their abandonment when she comes back in their lives, deciding she wants to be a mom again. She takes him and the son through the whole more emotional trauma of the whole legal battle of it all, wins, and then at the end of the movie decides, Dustin Hoffman could keep the boy anyways. It was really, I guess, more about her, of just making a point. I know I'm being cynical, but her character is a bad person. Meryl Streep, the mom character in Kramer vs. Kramer, is a really awful human being and not sympathetic in any way. My real problem with this movie, it's a good family drama, strong performance from Dustin Hoffman, and some honest portrayal of human emotions and shit like that, and human regret. Jane Alexander's terrific in it. But my biggest problem with the movie is really this, just kind of this real washed out feel to it. Almost looks like it's shot on video camera. It's not an appealing looking movie. I was nominated. I would have voted for Kramer versus Kramer for Best Picture. But out of what I mean, for the sake of it wasn't that good of a year for Oscar nominations for Best Picture. At least The Wanderers and Being There wasn't nominated. And I think fucking Apocalypse Now is one of the most overrated movies in the history of time, if not the most. So let's say runner-up Norma Rae. It's not great either. And number 9 is The Sting from 1973, directed by George Roy Hill, starring Robert Redford, Paul Newman, Robert Shaw, Charles Durning, Ray Walston, Jack Kehoe, and Eileen Brennan. This movie also won the Oscars for director, adapted screenplay, musical score, art direction, costume design, and film editing. It's a weird thing that in this period, in the 70s, in between like the 50s and the 70s, it was definitely done by like the mid-80s. The Academy fucked around with this kind of breaking up score to regular movies and musicals. And yeah, it wasn't every year, and it really wasn't consistent. So we're just, it had a long fucking, just a mouthful of title for this. So we're just going to call it Best Musical Score to save time here. The whole premise of this movie is some hustlers decide to get together to pull a huge, super dangerous con on a very dangerous gangster who has done wrong by all of them. And that's it. That's the con. They've literally recreated this episode on countless sitcoms and cartoons, including stuff like, Friends and Family Guy and King of the Hill and probably Community or anything. Or I was going to say Gilligan's Island, but it was actually before The Sting, but they would have gotten to it. They probably did it on Married with Children. It's been done a lot, the Sting thing. My big problem with this thing is the big final reveal of the last part of their big plan con is just a twist to the audience as much as it is the guy. I was like, why did they not show us this one thing? I don't know. It's just intentionally misleading the audience for the sake of a surprise. I don't like that kind of thing. You gotta earn your surprises, in my opinion. And I don't like Robert Redford in this. It's a rare misfire from him. I think he's more in the place of trying to play cute instead of actually being cool. I think The Exorcist should have won. I've said before that I think The Exorcist is a little bit too artsy of a horror movie for me, but that's certainly not saying that's not a classic. Number 8 is The French Connection from 1971, directed by William Friedkin, starring Gene Hackman, Roy Scheider, and Fernando Rey. This movie also won the Oscars for director, actor, adapted screenplay, and film editing. The whole setup here is 2 New York detectives become more and more obsessed with bringing down this French drug smuggler, and it's really just about how the case consumes them. Especially the main character, Gene Hackman's character, Popeye Doyle. Great performance from Gene, won the Oscar. It's a good movie all around, but I think it would have ranked higher up for me if it would have been of my actual generation. If I didn't grow up years after it came out, you know what I mean? By the time I came around, by the time I saw this movie, I'd see this was the go-to style for like every cop show on television for like the last 20 years. I mean, Miami Vice is basically just The French Connection on the beach. Seriously, it's pretty much just The French Connection on the beach. They did it a lot. It has terrific chase scenes and a great performance and 2 really good great performances and 2 really strong lead characters. But like I said, it's a very good movie. But I definitely think A Clockwork Orange should have won. It is the cinematic body of the artwork of film is certainly the most phallic member. Number 7, Patton from 1970. Directed by Franklin J. Schaffner, starring George C. Scott and Carl Malden. This movie also won the Oscars for director, actor, original screenplay, art direction, film editing, and sound. There's no real story to this movie. It's just the World War II campaign of the legendary General George S. Patton. As he just kind of goes around for 3 hours being a genuine fucking badass. No nonsense son of a bitch. And he's a hard ass. He's a bit of a piece of shit, sure. But he's kind of right about everything. I mean, one of my favorite movie lines of all time is, no son of a bitch ever won a war by dying for his country. You won a war by making some poor other son of a bitch die for his country. I mean, it's cold, it's cruel, it's harsh, it's fucking factual. But yeah, Patton's a great movie. Great movie. Even though there's really no plot to speak of. Number 6. I would have voted for MASH, even though Patton is great. MASH is really, really funny movie. Number 6, The Godfather Part 2 from 1974, directed by Francis Ford Coppola, starring Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Diane Keaton, Robert Duvall, Talia Shire, and John Cazale. This movie also won the Oscars for director, supporting actor, adapted screenplay, original score, and art direction. This is, of course, a continuation of The Godfather, mainly focusing on Michael Corleone trying to plant stakes for the mob in Vegas and dealing with the politics and the risks revolving around that, as the film also constantly cuts back to flashbacks of Vito Corleone as a young man coming to America and building his empire. It's great. It's absolutely great, but much like Full Metal Jacket, I've always kind of felt that you even had a better, the one set, that like, the boot camp segment of Full Metal Jacket and the flashback segments of Godfather Part 2 could be their own movies. You know what I mean? You just cut everything else is just filler. It's not even on the same level as the shit that I mentioned. You know, the fucking flashback shit in Godfather Part 2 is why people will argue with you that Godfather 2 is better than the first one. They're just thinking about this shit. They're not thinking about that Vegas shit. You know, but yeah, Godfather 2 is phenomenal. It's really good, but it's that flashback shit that's so good shit. I say Chinatown should have won. 100% honest with you. There's only one movie for the entire decade that even touches, even scratches the greatness of Chinatown, and we'll get to it. And Chinatown's still my number 2 for the whole decade. Personal favorites, you know what I'm saying? Number 5, Annie Hall. From 1977, directed by Woody Allen, starring Woody Allen, as well as Diane Keaton, Tony Roberts, Carol Kane, Shelley Duvall, Jeff Goldblum, and Christopher Walken. I had to say both Goldblum and Walken, even though they don't have anything to do with really the film as a whole. They just have one scene each and they're not together. But what just a missed opportunity for Jeff Goldblum and Christopher Walken to actually do a proper movie together. Have Cronenberg direct that shit, man. You have a fucking freakazoid weird ass classic on your hands. What could have been? Anyhow, the whole setup to this movie is Woody Allen plays Alvy Singer, who's an eccentric a neurotic stand-up comedian who meets this ditzy, space case, eccentric chick. And it's really just basically him reminiscing about their relationship long after it's over with the audience. A lot of fourth wall breaking. A lot of stuff that eventually became the norm of irreverent humor now. There'd be like no South Park, no Family Guy without Annie Hall, and that's 100% honest. I mean, there's scenes where he's having an argument about a film's meaning, and he'll literally just step aside, pull out the director, you have no idea, you know nothing of my work. Oh, wouldn't it be great if life was like this? This shit's in the movie. You know, if you've never seen the film. I last saw it, I got my wife to watch it with me when we were, like, still just dating, hell, courting. at that time, still. And yeah, man, she enjoyed it. It's a great movie. It's a terrific movie. One of my favorite lines. It's so fucking funny. One of my favorite weird cutaway type gags in the movie is when his argument with the Queen from Snow White, having a lover's spat with her. Well, I've always loved the bit Alvy Singer says the line about everything your parents told you is good for you is actually bad for you. Sunlight, milk, college, all bad for you. But yeah, it's a terrific movie. You know, say what you want about Woody Allen being kind of a terrible person, and he is. He's made some really good movies, and he's a very, very funny man. And this was his masterwork. This was his masterpiece. It's what he will be remembered for. His love letter to his love that he had lost. It's a terrific movie. Annie Hall is a date movie everyone should see. It's also only one of 2 Best Picture winners under 100 minutes long. The other one being Driving Miss Daisy. But I think Annie Hall should have won Best Picture that year, out of what was nominated. But for shits and giggles, let's say runner-up, Star Wars. Hell yeah, why not? Fuck it. Number 4, Rocky. From 1976, directed by John G. Avildsen, starring Sylvester Stallone, Talia Shire, Burgess Meredith, Burt Young, and Carl Weathers. This movie also won the Oscars for director and film editing. You know, who hasn't heard of Rocky? It's like talking about The Godfather at this point. It's Star Wars. You know, Rocky's the story of Rocky Balboa. He's a part-time leg breaker. He's a palooka in Philly, and he's fallen in love with a girl who's kind of considered a loser and unmarriable, and she's at the same time kind of settled into just taking care of her big brother for the rest of her life, and they're trying to start a romance, maybe start a life together, and he gets the chance of a lifetime when the world champion, Apollo Creed, wants to defend the title in Philly to a hometown boy, I think for the 4th of July. It's just like, you know, a celebration is a gift to the city of brotherly love. And of all the schmucks in town, Rocky gets handpicked for this match. And, I mean, it inspires him. It gives him something to fight for, something to live for. And it gives him purpose in life. And it is a true I love Rocky. I love fucking Rocky. And this isn't like sentimentality kind of things, you know, from my childhood. I was a grown fucking man when I finally saw Rocky. I always just assumed it was one of those movies. It's a sports movie, boxing movie, they're all the same. And then when I finally sat down and watched it, it was like, oh man, it melted my heart. I thought it was great. It was wonderful. When they finally get to the big training montage. Oh, it's one of the best fucking moments in movie history. It's a deeply heartbreaking, emotional, melodramatic movie, which makes, you know, the triumphant ending of the movie of him not winning, not becoming a champion, but just going the distance, just proving he's a fucking man. It's just, Rocky's great. Rocky is a fucking great movie. It might be the feel-good movie of all time. But yeah, Taxi Driver should have won. It's a good decade for movies. Taxi Driver should have won. Number 3, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. From 1975, directed by Milos Forman, starring Jack Nicholson, Louise Fletcher, Brad Dourif, Will Sampson, Sidney Lasik, Christopher Lloyd, Danny DeVito, Vincent Schiavelli, Michael Berryman, and Scatman Crothers. This movie also won the Oscars for director, actor, actress, and adapted screenplay. This is the story of R.P. McMurphy. Oh shit. Yeah, I always get his character's name and Kurt Russell's name in the thing mixed up. They're similar. But Randall Patrick McMurphy. Basically, he's a con who, in the early 60s, fakes insanity to get locked up in another house because he figures that will be coasting through his sentence. Oh, Oh, does he figure out a fucking reality check quick? I mean, as I've said before, movies like Django Unchained, Taxi Driver, American Beauty, movies that are, I mean, they're not comedies, but they're really fucking funny movies. I mean, it's inappropriate to label these movies and put them in a comedy section that's a fucking duck soup and some like it hot. But I'll be damned if you don't spend your whole goddamn time laughing your ass off. I recently revisited this last year, right before the Ratchet Netflix show came on. Me and the wife watched it. Terrific, just such a good fucking movie. I mean, it's just so good. Nicholson's first of 3 Oscar wins. Louise Fletcher, even though I think today, they would probably, depending on the star power of the actress playing her, would probably regulate that to a supporting role. Brad Dourif, terrific. Will Sampson's iconic performance as Big Chief. It's just, it is it's one of those movies that it stays with you. It'll move you. You'll never forget the story of these bunch of fucking lunatics who just want to watch a baseball game. Number 2, The Deer Hunter from 1978, directed by Michael Cimino, starring Robert De Niro, Christopher Walken, Meryl Streep, John Savage, George Zazunda, and John Cazale. This movie also won the Oscars for director, supporting actor, film editing, and sound. Real quick though, Cuckoo's Nest should have won Best Picture, but I'll say my runner-up would have been Nashville. Deer Hunter is about steel workers from Philly, or from Pennsylvania. Sorry, they're not city boys. Steel workers from Pennsylvania go to Vietnam, and three of them, and they're all traumatized. The movie's not really, it focuses on the 3 guys, and they're all different effects. But it's about what it does to the whole community, the whole town. How a war affects an entire generation. When the fucking millennials should know. Half the people I know that are my age either were fucking affected by either the war or the fucking pill epidemic. You know what I mean? Fucking pill pusher age of the 2000s. War fucks people up. It fucks up a whole society. It fucks up a country. And that's what the movie is about. It's about how it is about war and violence. It's wrought, and it's a movie that will drain you. It will take the life out of you. Don't plan on, if you're gonna sit down and watch this movie, please go out of your way, see The Deer Hunter if you've never seen it, but don't plan on it doing anything else that day. If you're gonna take a shower, don't shower. If you're gonna eat, you can't eat. Certainly, if you were planning on going to a kid's birthday party, don't watch The Deer Hunter before you go. It's a powerful movie. It's an unforgettable movie, and absolutely should have won Best Picture. But I'll say, as a runner-up, Midnight Express. And also, one more thing about The Deer Hunter before I move on. This is high praise. This is big shit I'm saying, so understand what I'm saying when I'm speaking to you. Robert De Niro is one of my top 5 favorite actors alive. And this is his best performance. The Deer Hunter. I said it. And number 1, best movie to win the Academy Award for Motion Picture of the Year in the 1970s is easily The Godfather from 1972, directed by Francis Ford Coppola, starring Marlon Brando, Al Pacino, James Caan, Diane Keaton, Robert Duvall, Sterling Hayden, Talia Shire, John Cazale, and Abe Vigoda. This movie also won the Oscars for actor and adapted screenplay. This is about a gangster dynasty The tale of the passing of their patriarch. He's losing his grip on his ties, his grip on control. More and more people are coming after the throne. It's time for the younger generation to step up. And out of his 5 children, it's not a question of the audience. We know who it is. It's very clear. It's Michael. And I would argue Michael Corleone, probably only behind Scarlett O'Hara, I would say is the most compelling film character of all time. And it's just so much in Pacino's performance. It's ridiculous. He lost the Oscar for supporting actor this year to Joel Grey for Cabaret. Basically lost an Oscar to the fucking narrator. But I mean, and it's just, and that's just it's the fucking Godfather. I mean, the photography, the performances, the score, the costumes, the sets, the editing, the sound, the cars, the guns, the shoes. It's fucking phenomenal. The long scenes where you see wheat. You say, look at the wheat. Look how fucking gorgeous that wheat is in this movie. Everything is beautiful in this movie. It is a perfect, flawless motherfucking motion picture. It is arguably the greatest goddamn movie ever made. If not the greatest piece of art ever constructed. Throw me your fucking statues of David, your Mona Lisa paintings, and I give you the Godfather, motherfucker. It absolutely should have won Best Picture, but for the sake of runner-ups, let's say Deliverance. Anyhow, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'm Jake Davis, and I'll catch you on the fly.